So this is a graphic from SEMRush, regular SEO versus programmatic SEO. Essentially, programmatic SEO is viewed as an automated way to create large-scale versions of content. Regular SEO tends to go after a little bit more of unique hand-spun type articles. This is looking at landing pages centered around specific keywords. And then this one is users find content through organic search, users find landing pages. Basically the same thing, right? When is programmatic SEO a good fit? So affiliate websites. And this is one that I think when we see a lot of these screenshots floating around on Twitter or LinkedIn, when people are really championing it, actually, because I posted and I like to throw stones at stuff. It's just my engagement strategy, especially on LinkedIn. But I was posting about how basically like why I didn't think it was a good fit for most of the internet. And somebody then commented a video that I took a look at, and he was an affiliate SEO and he was using programmatic SEO for affiliate. And I could understand that, right? Because affiliate websites, there's no tie to any sort of really client, if you will, or any sort of front-facing business or brand that you need to protect. Affiliate marketing is all about volume. It's all about getting as many eyeballs as you possibly can to a certain website and then trying to get clicks on whatever it is that you're selling. And honestly, there's very few ways to make money in affiliate SEO anymore, affiliate marketing outside of SEO. I could understand why programmatic SEO would be a good fit in this instance. That's number one. Number two, e-commerce, but some e-commerce websites. And when we go through some examples, I'll explain why and make sure I come back to this because I don't have a screenshot of this, but a lot of comments that I was getting on my LinkedIn post too was talking about how this is a good fit for e-commerce. So if you're using database to dynamically generate category pages, right? So if you're searching for, if your standard e-commerce website, for example, let's say you sell like t-shirts and jeans, you've got like your standard category pages, right? Which would be like jeans, blue jeans, whatever. Then you can throw on all sorts of tags and sidebars called, I don't do e-commerce anymore, but the navigation on the sidebar. And when you click on that navigation on the sidebar to like filter it by pant size or length or fit, right? What it does is that it generates new URL strings, right? And those new URL strings can get indexed by Google. And if there is search volume for that, you can actually rank for it. Now, I say some e-commerce websites because if you only have 100 SKUs, it's probably not a good fit. So an example of that would be, I used to sell way back in the day, I had a e-commerce website that sold shoelaces. And one of my strategies, it wasn't programmatic, but it was using the same core underlying strategy, which was there's money in long tail searches. The more long tail it is, the more refined the search is, which usually means the closer to the bottom of the funnel that person is, right? And what I mean by that is if somebody's searching for shoelaces, it's actually not a good keyword. It's very broad. They don't know what they're looking for. They're just beginning that search versus white shoelaces, half an inch thick. When I was even going after the use case for it, like replacement for Air Max 90s, right? And those would convert like gangbusters. Now, the challenge is when you don't have a lot of SKUs to match up to that search volume from a searcher's point of view, it's not a good fit as a page. And this is where it gets a little bit spammy, right? So if you've only got 100 products on your website and you're dynamically generating all these different categories and mixes and matches to meet these searches, and then the searcher comes there and they only see one product, they're not going to buy it because inherently with e-commerce, right? And this is why Amazon crushes it. This is why large retailers crush it with SEO and e-commerce, is because they want to see a multitude of products to search for to meet that search result. So if you're hitting all these long tails and then you're just directing them to one product, it's probably not a good fit. So that's why I said some e-commerce websites. And we'll talk more about this as we go through this. Travel websites are another great example. I've got some actual use cases that I'll show you. Real estate websites. Now, I'm not talking about your local real estate agent's website because the MLS is pretty much going to take care of this for you, whatever platforms they're using. I know there's a bunch of people in here who do real estate SEO, so they can probably talk to this better than I can. But a lot of those platforms are going to take care of these MLS listings out of the box. That's actually a form of programmatic SEO in a sense. I'm talking a little bit more about like the Redfins, the Zillows. These are the companies that have really championed this. And these are the use cases where programmatic SEO really makes sense, where we're talking about a website with national, if not global reach, right? Tons of authority and tons of listings. So if you go back to that e-commerce example, right? If somebody's searching for zip code or house size or modifying all these different things, right? Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, they have the inventory to match up with those searches. And they also have the authority to pick up the website to rank for them, right? So in their case, it makes sense. Now, if you're just a realtor that's just getting started, I'm actually a bigger fan of chopping it down a little bit. And I know some people don't agree with me, but I don't think that if you're a realtor, I think that you should. So this is the key thing here too. When is programmatic SEO a good fit? When the search demand justifies it and the content can be dynamically generated. And the final piece of that too that I left out would be if your website has the authority to support it, right? Like I said before, we talk about the search demand justifying it. You don't want to be dynamically generating e-commerce pages if nobody's searching for it. So if there's nobody searching for white shoelaces 32 inches, half an inch thick, you don't want to be spinning up those pages into the thousands or potentially millions is what it can get into if you really let this thing run. So there has to be search demand to justify that page that you're going to create. The content should be content that can rank for that type of search too. So if it's something, if you just Google that and the content that you're seeing is long form, it's thought leadership content, right? It's blog content, then it's not going to be a good fit to try and jam that page into that type of SERP. And then again, finally, we've got to make sure that the website has enough authority to rank for it. So that's when it's a good fit. So let's look at some examples here. So example one is going to be travel. So keyword search like this, Miami to NYC flight. And this has 1,000 searches per month. And there's also all sorts of variations off of this that you could rank for this like head keyword as well, right? So this is also something that the nature of the content that would deliver for this is dynamic. Flights are constantly changing, routes are changing, new airlines are popping up to take these routes, different airports. There's also multiple airports within New York and within Miami, right? So there's all sorts of dynamic content, if you will, that are going to be a good fit to rank for this. So this would be a good type of search. So if you have a website that has something like this, Expedia, Kayak, and American Airlines, these pages are a great fit to do programmatic SEO for, right? Because you can build a database of this page template, very simple, that's dynamically populated by this changing content, right? So if you actually picture this page, right, like when they're building this, these are all empty. This is just dynamically generated based on their whatever content engine that they're using on the back end. So when we talk about, again, the use cases for this, and we're going to see this more and more, is it's going to be like the 1% of websites, right? I don't know if anyone here is working with Expedia, Kayak, or American Airlines, but I know for a fact they probably also have their own massive in-house team. They probably have some agency support, right? But for the most part, a lot of the folks in the blueprint here are not going to be doing this. So again, trying to adopt this strategy, when I see this a lot, I see this in SEO so much specifically, where so many of the people that are talking on the stages, so many of the people that are considered thought leaders within SEO space that are on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, they're working with not like the less than 1% of websites, right? We're like enamored by people that are working with Expedia because honestly, you're an incredibly intelligent person if you're able to put together a campaign like this, because there's multiple facets to this that we'll talk about. But it's not a strategy it's not like a 99% of the web type strategy, if that makes sense, right? So I always say, again, like when we see this type of stuff, we have to rightfully question it, understand it, wrap our heads around it. So example two is going to be Zapier. So Zapier pages are database driven, programmatic. They can go one level deeper and have a page dedicated to each specific integration. So if you're not familiar with Zapier, right, think about it this way. And this could be like an Active Campaign or HubSpot as well, but especially Zapier. They basically duct tape. They're like the duct tape for the internet, right? They can stitch together any two tools, right? If you want to push from Active Campaign into Google Sheets, Zapier can do that, right? Pretty much literally stitch together like any 2 or 3 different products. We use it all the time. We call it like the duct tape for our business. So this is a good example when there's people searching for this, right? Especially now that people are in the market and aware that Zapier exists or products like this exist or that you can do something like this. There are people searching for like Google Sheets and Notion, right? Integrate Google Sheets with Notion, things along that nature, right? When we think about all the different variations of this, if you're Zapier, because they work with thousands of different platforms, and then you combine all the different combinations of what's possible when you use this together, this is a great example of when programmatic SEO should crush it. This is just an example. You can take a look at their website, just go to their apps, and you can just keep clicking through all these, right? So Slack, and there's like a list. I'll just pop it open real quick. There's a list of all the things that it'll integrate with here, down here, right? So Google Sheets, Gmail, Google Calendar, you can just keep on clicking on these, just keep on going through of all the different ways that these will integrate. And these are all dynamically generated, right? They actually have an amazing case study on how they've done this. So that's another great example of how to do it when it's a good fit. So when it's a bad fit, right? So pretty much for every other type of website on the internet, right? And this is where my opinion really comes in, right? So we all know what I do, right? I work with law firms. That's what we do, SEO for them. I also do fractional CMO consulting, where I don't really do a lot of direct consumer stuff, e-commerce stuff. And honestly, if a Zapier or like one of those company, Expedia, came to me, I'd be like, this is out of my depths. This is not what I do. I'm an acquisition specialist, right? And that's really what I view the core of SEO with. If you're working with a company like Expedia, it's not for acquisition purposes. It's usually more for maintenance purposes. Doesn't really get me out of bed in the morning. That's much more of a job being an employee than an agency, in my opinion. Not that I wouldn't take it, because there's a ton of money in that. But again, the whole point of this and my whole kind of like underlying argument here is that with everything in SEO, like we have to be mindful of the actual use cases for it, so you don't spin your wheels chasing something that's never going to produce for your business or for your clients. So when's a bad fit too? And this is again the other thing too, like what I say about traffic screenshots, and this is a whole, I think, a very important sidebar mini rant, which is SEO tools are not keeping up with Google, right? How many people here in the comments have heard from their clients, hey, great, the keyword rankings seem to be going up, or traffic seems to be going up, or I can see, sure, Google impressions are going up, but we're not getting a return. Has anyone heard that from clients recently? Especially if you're doing a lot of content marketing, right? You're building content, you're showing them that Ahrefs graph, and I see this all the time, right? And this is why everything needs to be taken with a grain of salt. We go back to those screenshots that I showed you from Twitter when people are like, oh my God, programmatic SEO, look at all these new impressions I'm getting from Google. Traffic for the sake of traffic does nothing, right? And we have to be super mindful of this. When you look at a tool, and in a core conversation I'm having with my business partner, Caesar, at our agency right now, which is this, right? And I know I don't want to keep just jamming like personal injury lawyers, Miami, right? I don't want to just keep on, let me do car accident, jamming my vertical down your throat here. To Boca, I'm trying to get the specific search result here. Okay. So when first of all, we've been hearing from clients, right? Second of all, when I audit a law firm's website that comes in and I look at it, I'm like, the first thing I do is check SEMRush, right? It's the first thing I pretty much check whenever a lead comes in. I check their authority. I'm like, oh, look, it's a good fit. They have some keywords, whatever, blah, blah. What I'm seeing more and more of is websites that appear to be crushing it in SEMRush. Traffic is going up. Keyword rankings are going up. They're even ranking for some good keywords. I see a lot. I just closed a client the other day that was ranking for personal injury Miami, huge keyword. And the value of the traffic was up, right? Everything from the point of view of those tools appeared to be on point, right? But when you actually talk to them and they're saying that I'm not getting any phone calls, I'm barely getting any traffic, right? And we go back and we look at a lot of our clients too. Again, this is a conversation we just had. We're looking in Search Console and we're seeing the search impressions going up. Clicks aren't following. That's the first indicator. Or we're seeing traffic going up, but phone calls not following, right? Or impressions going up, but phone calls not following. So the reason is that you could rank first for this keyword according to Search Console and Ahrefs or SEMrush, right? But the problem is that look at how much crap people have to scroll through to actually get to that. We have local service ads, we have pay-per-click ads, we have Maps Pack, we have people also ask, and then all the way, then we got videos in here too, it's nuts, right? And then all the way down here, right? So this website's ranking first for Boca Car Accident Lawyer. You put this website into any tool, they're going to think that they're crushing it. So the whole argument that I'm making here is that we do not exist to get impressions or traffic, right? So when I go back here, I get super annoyed when I see stuff like this because the only thing I say is, so the fuck what? This is not why we're here. If we are servicing clients, we exist to make the money. If we don't make the money, then we're just not going to be along for a very long time. This is like a huge thing that we're going through now too. And we look in the mirror every single day and we're asking ourselves, are we currently doing the best thing for our clients to acquire the new clients, to acquire the new customers? And doing SEO the same way, which is cranking out a ton of content, building a ton of links, is only going to net you down here. And again, everyone's SERP is different, right? So this is just for us. Everyone is working with a different type of client, but you need to be very hyper aware and constantly monitoring what's happening with Google. Google doesn't care about these anymore. These make them no money. They do not care about these listings down here. They have been demoting them forever. And you see this in the travel space. You see this in the e-commerce space, right? This isn't just alone. So we could do something like, I don't know, size 33 black jeans men's, right? Something like that. Look at everything that we have going on, right? Like you could be ranking first, which you're probably not going to in all fairness. And look at all of the products. Look at all the noise. There's ads, there's filters, there's Amazon. There's people also ask, I don't even know what these are now. There's images, or these are maybe pulling from organic shopping. And then we come all the way down here. So Buffalo jeans, congratulations, you made it onto the SERP. But like how many people, nobody's getting past this. We all shop, we all use Google. Are you really getting past the ads? Maybe, okay, they're ads. You're not getting past here. This is a visual search. You're just not getting past here. Now, granted, these might be considered SEO and all this different stuff, but the point is that we need to be hyper mindful. I just saw, I don't know if it's true or not, because I haven't really looked into it, that Google is not going to move forward with SGE. I don't know if anyone else saw that. I saw somebody tweet it out. I'm not exactly sure, but it doesn't really matter, right? Because when I went into SGE and I was testing this a couple weeks ago, they were protecting the products that make them money and the products that customers love. it's been proven by data that like this is no longer a good result for people. How many people, honestly, if you're looking for an attorney, if you're looking for a home services person, how many people, even as SEOs, are like scrolling all the way down here and you're like, yeah, let me just open up 10 browsers, 10 new tabs in my website and read through all their content. It doesn't happen. Our data shows this too, that over like 80% of the clicks are going up here. And this is what I'm saying too. So when we look at the data and when we look in SEMRush, and this is what I said, like these SEO tools have a problem. I think they'll figure it out because they'll just account for all this noise, but the SERPs are so fractured now. Like when I first built the blueprint a couple of years ago, I had this concept in here about SERP intent. And it was so simple. It was like basically just like the intent was saying, okay, should we use a product page or a service page? Now it's like on another level and it just continuously splinters out. These are all products within Google. This is local service ads, which is a different ad product than AdWords, right? So Maps is a different product with different ad listings in here as well. This is what they want to protect. One, because they're always going to protect their business interests, like literally 70% above the fold is all ads. And two, this has been proven by data that people would much rather engage with this because it's a no-click search than scrolling all the way down here and digging through these results. It's just a fact. So the point I'm trying to make here is that programmatic SEO and all of these traffic generation tactics are not where it's at unless you are working with a 1% of websites, right? So traffic for the sake of traffic, like these types of screenshots anymore. So what? Because this really means nothing anymore. I can tell you firsthand, we work with so many law firms and the biggest thing that they're coming to us now is being like, yeah, we paid an SEO agency and they said that they were getting us work, but our phone call didn't ring. So like now we're talking to you, right? So a bunch of pros and cons in here. All of you will have access to this deck as Blueprint members. I just wanted to push that out there and I'm going to open up for questions now and comments and chat with all of you. So that's my kind of 2 cents on programmatic SEO. It's not that I'm against programmatic SEO. I think it's a very valuable and powerful tool for the right websites. But again, I see my role here is to make sure that I'm always taking the information that we're seeing and contextualizing it for you all here.